So a very good morning to everyone. I'm Dr. Vinita Saroha, working as a customer consultant with Elsevier. I'll be taking you through today's session regarding how you can use multiple permutation and combination that will help you to lead to the quality publication. So that's the overall theme also for today's discussion, that is navigating the pathways of publishing in high quality journals. So first, let me take you through the agenda, what all points that we will be touch upon today. So today, I'll be talking about research workflow, that how research workflow look like. Publication workflow, you want to publish into any journal, that's your desire, but what publisher wants, what publisher look into your manuscript when you send your paper to any journals. We'll try to touch upon editor mindset also, that what editor look into your manuscript, because there are 95% of rejection happens from editor desk itself. So we need to talk about that part also. And then we'll talk about different matrix. There are different type of matrix like author level matrix, the article level matrix, the journal level matrix. We'll try to touch upon that also. And at the end, we'll talk about how you can create your manuscript or develop your manuscript in such a way that the chances of acceptance will improve. So we'll try to, in 1 hour, we'll try to touch upon all different contributor that leads to the quality publication. So let me give a very quick introduction of Elsevier. Elsevier is a global information analytical company specialized in science and health. As a global leader in information and analytics, Elsevier helps researchers and healthcare partners to advance science and improve health outcome for the benefit of society. We have started our journey 140 years back with publication, and now we are into analytics also with multiple solutions like Science Direct, Scopus, SciVal. Some are free also like Mendeley, Journal Finder, or Researcher Academy, and many more. So we always there to support you in this journey. So to give a proper support to, to be a knowledge partner, it's very important let me take you through the different scales or different stages of research workflow as well, starting from research preparation, where it is very important to have understanding regarding fundings, because that's the pain point when we talk about Indian research. Data management. Then you also need to understand the collaboration, because collaboration plays very important role for increasing visibility for your institute and for yourself as well. Then we'll talk about writing for research, where it is important to have understanding regarding fundamentals of manuscript preparation, writing skills, technical writing skills, publication process, like fundamental understanding of publishing, how to find the right journal, because it's equally important that you have a right journal also for the publication, ethics of publication, open science. Everyone is talking about open access, open science. So it's very important when you talk about research workflow to have a fair understanding about open science as well. Navigating the peer review process, understanding of the broader aspect of peer review process is very important. And then it comes to the communication of your research, that is increasing visibility of your paper. And because it's very important to understand that your paper is your product and you have to sell it to get the good citation. So that if your paper is visible to the community where you want to send, that will increase the probability of getting higher citation to your paper. So this is how schematic representation of workflow look like. Again, it may vary depending on which area you are in, but this is how it look like in terms of different stages. Now, let me quickly take you through how Elsevier is there to support you in this journey, starting from current awareness. So we have a multiple solutions which support you in that. Science Direct, Scopus, then followed by applying for grants. Again, SciVal, Scopus comes into picture for that. Sharing of an article, Mendeley comes into picture. And I request everyone, please start using Mendeley if you're not using it, because Mendeley is completely free solution. And that not only help you in terms of references, but it also help you to connect yourself with your social network or peer groups or other groups as well. Writing for research, again, Mendeley comes into picture. Submitting of an article, the Researcher Academy comes into picture. That's a very good e-learning module that I'll cover at the end of my slides. It's an initiative, basically, what Elsevier taken. So it's a free e-learning module. And the best part is you get a certificate also. And there are multiple courses available on Researcher Academy. So do visit Researcher Academy also. And I'm sure everyone sitting in this discussion can extract out suitable information from this solution. Then you have publishing. Again, all solutions comes into picture. And when you talk about managing your career, again, Scopus or Mendeley comes into picture. So there are multiple things, or there are multiple ways that Elsevier is there to support you with multiple solutions. Now, to give you the proper support or to help you or to holding hands of yours, it is very important for us to understand researchers' need, what researcher wants to extract out from these kind of solutions. So after having a multiple discussion with students and young researchers, these are the 5 points which we find that everyone sitting in this discussion can easily correlate with. Staying up to date, that's the major challenge that everyone face nowadays. And the reason is because research is growing like anything nowadays. There are more than 7,000 publishers. There are so many datas are coming up. There are so many articles are coming up. And that's why staying up to date into your subject domain is very important. And if you have a good understanding about your subject area, that will help you to have impactful publication. And if you have a good publication in hand, that will help you to have a good collaboration for yourself, for your institute, for your progress. And if you have a good collaboration, you will be able to secure fundings also for your research opportunities, and that will help you to manage your career. So these are the 5 key pain points I would say that every researchers are facing nowadays. And why we are into this situation? Because as I said, there are so many articles are being coming up. There are so many publishers are there, and there are so many data is available on open search engines also. And that's why it's very important to be very specific which journal that you select for publication and which mode that you want to send your publication to. So that's why that's the overall theme also for today's discussion, that how we can support you in terms of helping you with different tips that will keep you away from this frustrating situation, and that will help you to have a good publication also in place. Now, let me take you a little earlier time, that when the scientific publication started. So scientific publication started in 1665. The first journal, that time it was Philosophical Transition of Royal Society. The best part is that journal still exists as part A and part B. That time also, scientific publication is basically have 3 conditions. The first is registration and archiving that we still follow. So we do register the person who is publishing. Dissemination, that the knowledge that you have, it should be spread across. Peer review, so whatever the paper this particular journal also received, the publication need to undergo the peer review process. And that time it was done by the member of council of that society. And we still follow the same process. We have registration, we have dissemination, and we have peer review also. Let me quickly take you through how scientific publication look like, or I would say how the growth happened in the publication industry. So there are more than, as I said, this slide is also depicting that there are more than 6,000 publishers are there, and which publish, there are approximately 45,000 journals are there. And if we talk about article increase, there is always a constant increase of 3% every year, with an author unique approximately 4 million, and that is also increasing every year by 3%. So which clearly give you the glimpse that we have a huge dump of data around, and we have so many journals are there, and so many publications are coming up. And that's why it is very important to have understanding about different mode of publication, different way of publication, and who are the major player or the major contributor into the publication cycle as well. Now, when we talk about journal organization, journal, there are different category of journal. And why I have this slide in this presentation is because there's a misconception around publication that always you have to pay to get a good publication. And just to address that query, because that's a very common query which I always encountered. So there are multiple way of publication when we talk about the without amount also, that comes into green open access, and when you have to pay, that comes as a gold open access. So there are two models on which publication works, that is pay to read and pay to publish. So pay to publish comes as a gold open access where an author is paying APCs. Whereas another mode of publication is green open access, where author is not paying any charges, the amount recovered by the subscription. But green open access comes with embargo. So your paper will remain into embargo for, depending on journals to journal. It could be 6 months, it could be 8 months, but there are no charges to the author side. And once that embargo covered, and then your paper will be open to the community for read. So that's why it's very important to, and the set of journal that you select for the publication is also follow the same. If you want to open access, you have a different set of journals. If you want to publish into gold open access, you have a different set of journals. So it's very important to have understanding your objective of the publication, and this, on the basis of your objective of publication, select the journal depending on which mode that you want to publish. Now, let me quickly take you through the different contributor, or I would say stakeholder into publication. The first is editor. So who are editors? Editors are basically responsible to maintain the quality of the journal. They check and decide the paper to get published after getting the feedback from reviewers. They basically decide the aim and scope of the journal. Who are they? They are basically the professors of esteemed universities, and they basically works into the team. So we have an editorial team for every journals. They have different set of requirement also into their mind when they select the journal or when they select the manuscript for publication into the particular journal. The another contributor is publishers like Elsevier or Springer or Taylor Francis. They are basically managing the overall growth or overall management of a journal done by publishers. They provide the editorial infrastructure, review process, reviewers, everything they select. They arrange the publication of accepted manuscript. They are also responsible to deal with ethics and copyrights of the issues. And they basically appoint the editors and editorial board. So they are the second contributor when we talk about publications. So once you send a paper, it directly comes to the editor desk. And after editor get concerned, they have the mindset that they want to publish that paper, they involve the reviewers and publisher, everything comes into picture. So editor is the first person that your paper and you interact through your paper. Now, another thing, every journal, they have different aim and scope. Sometimes we miss this particular section and we send the paper just looking at the impact factor of the journals. That's a very bad practice, because it's very important that we need to do the thorough analysis also of the journal in terms of their aim and scope. This help you to select the journal, to get an answer that whether this journal is right fit for the publication or not. Because if we look into, if we go back and find out in 2020 and 21, I'm sure every journal is publishing more focus towards COVID. And that's the difference. And now if you send your paper, other than that studies, you may get a rejection. That's not because your paper is not right, because the aim and the scope of the journal is not fitting at that time. So that's why it's very important to have a thorough understanding of aim and scope, because it will help you to give an answer about the subjects, about the audiences, the type of article, the quality of the coverage, and associated with the group. So everything comes with aim and scope of the journal. Now, when we talk about journal organization, to check the quality of a journal, there are different metrics that you should consider. And one of the metrics for journal evaluation is impact factor. I'm sure everyone sitting in this discussion are aware of impact factor. Impact factor, let's say in this case, if I want to calculate impact factor for 2021 to any particular journal, so all citation in 2021 to the article published in 19 and 20, so it basically takes the data of 2 years, divided by the total number of articles in the same time frame. And further normalization happens to it, and then you get a value out of it. That is how impact factor calculated. But there are few shortcomings also when you consider only impact factor for your decision making of selecting the right journal for your publication. All journals do not have impact factor. Why so? Because impact factor annually updated. So let's say, for example, this year, if it happened January, next year, January, the evaluation will be done. But as I said that there are so many articles are coming up, there are so many journals are also coming up in between the time frame also. And that's why you may find few journals where the impact factor is not mentioned, because they basically annually updated. Proceedings, they do not consider of having an impact factor. Impact factor is biased towards fast-moving subject areas. Let's say medicine, they have a higher citation, higher impact factor. Mathematics, they have low citation, low impact factor. And that's why it's very important to consider other matrix also along with impact factor. And one of the matrix is site score. Site score is basically depends on 3 C's. That is comprehensive, because it's based on Scopus. That is world largest abstract citation database. clear because it is more transparent. There is no normalization happens to it. You can also do the calculation for the site score matrix by yourself. Current, because there is the tracker which is there for site score that is monthly updated. So every month you can look into the data that whether the journal is performing well in your subject area or not. This basically takes the time frame of 4 years. And it was a very interesting study that was done in 2020, and it was found out there are more than 13,000 titles are there, which is having site score, but there is no impact factor. And later on, it was found out of this number, approximately or 655 plus titles are there, which performed very good in their subject areas, and they comes into the top ranking of their subject areas. So if you consider only one matrix that you factor into your decision making, you may miss out this particular chunk of journals also. So that's why it is always advisable to use other matrix along with impact factor as well. Both these matrix work subject specific. What about if you want to publish into multidisciplinary journal? Because nowadays research has become more multidisciplinary. You may find one journal, one article into science journal. You may find into same journal may caters the medicine also, the same journal may caters the engineering publication as well. So that's why it is very important to consider other matrix also when you look into multidisciplinary subject area publication. And one of the matrix is SNIP, that is called as a source normalized impact per paper. This matrix basically normalize the subject area, and then you get a value out of it. So this basically, if you're comparing mathematics with medicine also, it will normalize the subject area, and then you can compare that how particular journal is performing into your subject area. Another matrix is SJR, that is called as a Scimago journal ranking. This is basically the prestige driven matrix. This basically factor in both the number of citation as well as the quality of citation. And this is more popular when we talk about the prestige driven matrix. So faculty people normally prefer to look into SJR scoring also for the journal. Now, when I put everything into one slide, this is how it looked like. So always begin with end in mind. What are your objective of getting a publication? I'm sure if we talk about student, they don't consider SNIP or SJR, site score or impact factor will help them. Whereas when we talk about multidisciplinary publication, SNIP is the right answer to select along with other matrix also. If you want to look into prestige more, always look into SJR scoring along with site score and impact factor. So this is just to give you the glimpse that how different matrix plays important role depending on your objective. So select the matrix depending on your goal of publication. Because if I talk about student, they just wanted to get a publication to fulfill their degree requirement. So site score tracker will help them better, because that will give you an idea that how the performance of matrix changes month on month. What are their acceptance rate? What are their rejection rate? So that kind of a framework need to be done. When I talk about the management team or the senior people, they may look into the multidisciplinary publication. SNIP is a better answer for that. On the other hand, when we talk about the management team, maybe SJR could be the suitable matrix for them along with impact factor and site score. So that's why it is very important to have understanding regarding the matrix also before selecting the right journal for publication. Come up to the next matrix, that is author level matrix. Author level matrix basically tells you about the quality, how the author is performing. So that comes with the help of H-index. That basically give you an idea how productive and influential a researcher is. So I've taken an example here of Professor C.N. Rao. For Professor C.N. Rao, on H-index, you will find on Google Scholar also, and you will find on Scopus also. So for him, H-index on Google Scholar is 155, whereas for Scopus, it is 133. Now, why this difference? Because Google Scholar not only consider the journals, but it also consider the academic websites, the grey literatures, the preprints and postprints, and thesis as well. And because of that, the duplication of content happens, and you will always have the higher Google Scholar as compared to H-index Scopus. Now, the question comes, which you should consider. Both are correct at their part. You can have Google Scholar also, and you can have the Scopus also, because both helps. So whenever you consider any author, it is always good to consider the H-index or do the analysis of H-index also for the author. Now, one very important component for author profile is ORC ID. So I'm assuming that most of you are students. So it's very important that you have your ORC ID done. And ORC ID, the advantage of having an ORC ID is when you submit your paper to any databases, being Google Scholar, being Web of Science, or being Scopus, you need to link your ORC ID with your name, so that whenever anyone wants to extract out your publication set, they can easily look through the ORC ID. So ORC ID is basically work as a PAN card or an Aadhaar card, the unique contributor number which tagged with your name, so that you will get the due credit of your publication. So if you don't have your ORC ID, I request, please get your ORC ID done. And whenever you submit your article to any databases, tag your ORC ID with your name. The third level matrix that you should consider is article level matrix that comes with FWCI. That is field weighted citation impact. This basically tells you that how your paper, how that particular paper is performing within that subject area. As the world average, it is 1. So anything which is above 1 is above world average. Anything which is below world average. Now, for example, if a FWCI of any article is 6, that means that this particular paper received almost 6 times higher citation as compared to the average article in the same field receives. So whenever you refer any article into your publication, into your manuscript, always look into FWCI scoring also for that matrix or for that paper. Another matrix is item level matrix, that is Plumix matrix. That basically tells you in the idea about how people are interacting on that particular research article. So this gives you the glimpse of visibility. So one of the conditions that we have seen in the research schematic representation is visibility, and that comes with the help of Plumix matrix. So how many times people shared on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or Google Scholar, or Mendeley. So that will give you that glimpse. That will give you an idea about the visibility of an article, because visibility is directly related to the citation. And that is directly related to the quality as well. So when you have all these matrix understanding along with the different mode of publication, then you come up to the editorial process. What editor wants? Let me quickly take you through the publication cycle also. So once you submit your paper, it directly goes to editor desk. And editor have certain checkpoints in their mind before selecting or rejecting the paper. And if you know these points prior to submission, that will increase probability of getting acceptance. Now, let me tell you one thing. Editor desk is basically the first checkpoint where maximum rejection happens. And that's why we try to put these points into one slide that will help you to understand editor mind also before selecting the journal for the publication. What editor actually look into your paper? The first is the paper should be scientifically correct. It should not be an isolated piece of work. It should build upon some concept. It should be new, novel. So when I'm saying new, it can be anything, new product, new concept, new idea, new way of interpretation, but it should have some new concept or novelty into that, the art area that you want to publish. Then they also look for significance, whether it is positive or negative, but the work that you want to publish should have some significance. Because if you have these 3 points in place, that will help editor to get a confidence that will create interest to the reader, because we also need to understand that editor is responsible to maintain the quality also for the journal. Let me quickly take you through other way around. Let's see what could be the reason for rejection. The first is topic. Sometimes it happens that we don't put that much emphasis on the topic, but let me tell you one thing, the topic plays a very important role, because that's the first thing that editor normally looks into your paper. The topic should be trending, it should be impactful. Now, if the topic is not trending, somehow the editor lose their interest. And how will you know that the topic trend analysis? That could be done through the journal homepage itself. So from journal homepage, it will give you an idea, the most cited document, the most downloaded article, the recent article, the preprints, everything comes on the journal home site. So I request whenever you select any journal for the publication, depending on different matrix, always go to the homepage of the journal and find out the focus area of that journal, how the authors, the topmost author, they draft their topic, or which topic help journals to get maximum download or maximum citation. So this is how you can look into the topic trend analysis also. Next is poorly written abstract. Language error. Your abstract should be very clear. There should not be any error into your language error into your abstract, because it's very important to have a very simple abstract writing, but your abstract should speak the message that you want to convey to the editor. Too many self-citation. Again, that's completely depending on your current manuscript. If your current publication is relevant to the previous one, you can do self-citation, but it should not be, don't do self-citation just to get a citation, because that is something that editor don't like, or they don't encourage. Poor geographical distribution of citation. Try to include citation from different part of the world, because that gives a confidence to the editor that you have a thorough understanding of your subject area. Recent older article not cited. Again, it completely depending on journal requirement. If the journal is asking for last 5 years citation, stick to that and go ahead what journal wants. But if it is not mentioned, try to put the citation from different time frame. Leading scientists, top journals not cited. It's very important that you should be aware of who are the top most contributor into your subject area, the top scientist into your subject area, the top writer into your subject area, which journal is the top most journal into your subject area. So try to put their citation also into your manuscript citation section. That also help understand the editor that you have a thorough understanding of your subject area. So once you have journal in hand, once you have understanding of which journal, depending on different parameter, whatever we have learned till now, let me quickly take you through now how you can develop your manuscript after you have done all different homeworks. Now, 7 things that you should consider when you write your manuscript. Think before writing, choose the right journal and the right article type. Use the right process of writing paper, language, ensure paper is up to date in the right format, use the correct article structure, and be prepared for the common questions. So we'll take one by one all these 7 conditions in detail in coming slides. The first is think before writing. So it's very important that whatever the message that you want to convey, it should be exactly same as you are thinking. The editor should be on the same page. So how will you start that? Start writing your research and do the analysis that whether you have everything in one place, or do you have a story to tell? And do I have an audience to tell to? These are the 2 questions that need to be answered when you start writing for your publication. Your conclusion and everything should be simple. It should be easily understandable to the editor as well. So try to create your first draft by putting all possible authentic information into one place. That is how you can create a story of your publication. It should deal with 3 things. The message should be clear, it should be very useful, and it should be exciting. Present in a very constructive manner, so that the reviewer and the editor will understand same as you want to convey. Because we need to understand that editors and the reviewers are the 2 occupied people. And that's why it is very important for us to save their time by doing these small tips, including these small tips into your publication drafting. The second most important stage comes as selecting the right journal. Again, there is no shortcut for that. You have to connect multiple dots all together. The first and the most important thing is journal homepage that give you the complete understanding about which journal is right for your publication. Always look into the guide to author, and that will give you the complete idea about what they wanted to extract out from the manuscript. Look into the aim and scope of the journal. Try to find out the article acceptance rate on Elsevier. Mostly all journals gives you this glimpse. How much acceptance rate are there, how much time they normally takes for the publication. All that information is there on the journal homepage itself. Try to look into that. Then look into the recent published article and references in your own way that you want to look in. One tip here is do not submit your manuscript to more than 1 journal, because that leads a very bad impression on the editor. And let me tell you one thing. So whenever you submit an article to 2 journals, sometimes you got a rejection because of that practice also, because we have a databases and editor can easily look into the databases how many times you have submitted the manuscript. So that could be one of the reasons that normally and editors normally don't encourage to go ahead and submitting the manuscript into 2 journals. Then a very good solution that Elsevier is having for selecting the right journal, that is called as a journal finder. So Elsevier Journal Finder, it's completely free. So you can also use this solution along with the home page of the journal. So what you need to do in this, you just need to land up to journalfinder.elsevier.com. You need to put the title. Let's say you have in hand and you want to look into the right fit for the journal. So you just need to put your title, you need to put your abstract, you need to give some keywords to that, and then you get a analysis depending on different matrix, different acceptance rates. So everything comes up. You can use this also along with the journal homepage for selecting the right journal. So when we talk about journals, there are 7 key questions that you need to consider to evaluate the journal right fit for your publication or not. The first is, it's very important to understand, is the manuscript is right fit for the journal? And that check aim and scope of the journal, which subject area they normally covers, what type of article that they normally covers. So because sometimes it happens the journal is more into review article. And if you're not done this kind of analysis, you got a rejection. That's not because your paper is not right, because it's not fitting into the journal. Are there any the funders or institute mandate need to be considered? Is the journal visible to the community that you want to reach out? Is there a reason of chances? What are the reason of chances of acceptance of your manuscript? That you will get from journal finders also, and that you will also get from the journal homepage as well. Let's say if a journal is having 5% acceptance rate and a journal is having 35% of acceptance rate, it is always advisable, depending on the matrix that you want to look in, send your publication to the 35% so that the chances of acceptance will increase. So that you will get when you do the analysis of journal acceptance rate. Is the journal indexed into relevant databases? It's very important that the journal that you are selecting for the publication, it should indexed into databases like Scopus or Web of Science. And how will you know that? For that, you don't need to have a subscription also. If you want to look just to find out whether the journal is Scopus indexed or not, you can directly go tab on Scopus and you can find out this information there. And it's very important to do analysis in terms of currently the journal should be Scopus index, because sometimes it happens that on the journal homepage, you will find the journal is Scopus index, but it was not there because maybe the journal is not able to maintain the quality, or maybe the growth is not matching up. And that's why the journal Scopus committee, they removed the journal from Scopus indexed. So it's always advisable to look into the journal Scopus homepage itself to find out the current this journal is indexed into Scopus or not. What do the journal matrix reveals? So whatever the matrix that we have seen till now, impact factor or site score or SNIP or SJR, all matrix speak something. If you want to look into subject specific, site score impact factor is the right answer for that. If you want to publish into SNIP, the multidisciplinary, look into SNIP scoring for that. If you want to publish into the prestige driven, always look into SJR scoring for that. So matrix reveals everything about the journal. Is the journal reputable? So don't fall prey to predatory journals, and you can save your paper by yourself to be very smart when you select the journal. And how will you know that? Always look into the journal homepage editorial board, whether the editorial board is authentic or not, how the group look like, because there's never be one editor. You always have a group of people associated to the journal. So that information is there. So always look into that information as well before selecting the journal for your publication. Then when you have the right journal also, then you can look into how you can write a paper. So let me give you a quick tips also that what all thing that you can include in a different section of the paper. Prepare the outline, start preparing by the outline by creating a first draft of your paper, by putting everything into one place as plot, figures, tables, images, everything. And then start reading your research article as a reader. Be a critical reader for yourself, not as an author. And find out whether the message is coming out clear or not. Then revise the text. And once you have done that, identify the gaps, identify the unclear part, double check your language so that there is no language error. And then you can share it with your co-workers, your PIs, your project in charge, your scientists, your teachers to give you the feedback. Now, language plays very important role, as I covered in the previous slide also. that the language should be very clear. It should be understandable. If that's the constraint, you have a good work, but the language is kind of hindrance. There are multiple other solutions are also there, which will help you to edit your language. So Elsevier is also having that option. You can look into that as well for the language part. Now, how the sentences should be there. I've just tried to give few tips here. I can share these slides. You can easily go through it, that how you can draft the sentences or how it should look like. Then this is again regarding the tenses, regarding the sentence format, regarding the length, all that thing, that you should put 12 to 17 words in one sentences. It should not be exceed to that. One piece of information in one sentences, don't overlap the information, and avoid multiple sentences into one statement. And when you have the first draft is ready, then your work, as we have already discussed, that the work should not be an isolated piece of work, should always build upon which has already been done. So this is again few tips that you should consider. And references list, it's very important that the recent article should be included into their current manuscript. The journals, you should be including the top journals, also leading scientists, also into your reference list. And once you have created the draft, then try to correlate this slide with your manuscript. The title, it should be very informative, objective, specific, includes the main finding. As I said, topic is the first preface of your work. So try to put the topic in a very constructive way. Authors, give due credit to all authors. This is something that always the editor also appreciates when you have a group of authors, those who have contributed into your work. Abstract, it should be short and it should be that strong that it should influence the editor's decision. And we have found out, and we have a multiple discussion with Elsevier editor, and through them we come to know that sometimes the abstract is so clear that they select only on the basis of abstract as well. So try to make your abstract more crisp. Keywords, always give keywords. If it is not asked, still you need to give your keyword, because that help editors to find the right reviewer for your work. Then introduction. Why did you do that? It should give the glimpse. What is the problem? Are there any existing solutions? Which one is the best? Is there any limitation? And what do you want to achieve out of this? Method. What did you do? Describe how the problem you studied. Providing the sufficient information if there is any other method used into your work. Resultant discussion. What did you found out? And what did you find in terms of why it is important, and supporting with data, figures, tables, everything should be with resultant discussion. Then it comes to the conclusion. How does your study advance in the field? The short and a very clear, justify your work in a research field and suggest the future experiment. Acknowledgement, always give due acknowledgement. Those who have contributed towards your research, who done your proofreading, the financial supporters, the suppliers. So it's very important that you acknowledge people into your paper also, the manuscript also. References plays very important role. Try to limit self-citation, try to limit selecting only one journal, or try to limit selecting only one author for your references. Supplement data, if you have a supplement data, try to support your publication with supplement information as well. And when you have the first draft, by the tip that we have learned till now, be ready with the comment question from the reviewer. The comment question includes the comment on importance, validity, and the conclusion. Does the topic fit for does the topic is fit for the journal? Are the title and abstract is aligned? So be prepared with these questions. The introduction should be clear, balanced, well organized. Are experimental corrections that need to be answered? Comment on need, the quality of the tables, the figures, the images. Are the results well presented? Is the research puts the appropriate context in one place? And references. So once you answer all these questions by yourself, you are ready for the submitting of a manuscript. Now, when we talk about submitting of the manuscript, the very important role comes with the cover letter. And sometimes we found out that people normally don't put that much effort in creating the cover letter. So let me tell you one thing, cover letter is the only way when you interact with editors. And it was found out, or by Elsevier editor only, we come to know that sometimes it happens that they accept their paper, by looking into the cover letter. Because let's say if you get a rejection from any journal, but if you explained your information or if you explained your work in a very constructive way into the cover letter, that also leads to acceptance of the manuscript. So cover letter plays very important role. So what are the different components that you should cover into your cover letter? Introduce yourself, give a very small background of yourself, expertise, area of research, describe the field that you want to publish. Then who are the key players into your research, the main finding of your research and what is new in that, the significance of your research, the significance of selected journals, and a good reviewer from different country or different part of the world. So all these components should cover into your cover letter. And if you have a good cover letter in hand, then you are ready to submit your paper to along with your cover letter. So this is how a cover letter should look like. You should take approval from others, authors also. Describe your study, give a significance, explain the importance of your work, and suggest the reviewers. Again, it completely, if you opportunity to give a reviewer, it is always encouraged by the editors also, because editors normally maintain the pool of reviewers. So try to suggest the good reviewers also into your cover letter. And then it comes editor decision, acceptance, rejection, or accepted after minor or major revision. These are the three conditions that you will get from editors. Acceptance, very good. Rejection, if you got a rejection also, they will give you some kind of reason for that. Try to work on that reasons also. And then you can submit your manuscript by including the revision into another journal that you want to, that comes as a second preference for your publication. If you have acceptance after minor and major changes, do the thorough changes into your work. Draft again a cover letter by giving a justification that what all changes required and how you have done that changes. So within a cover letter also you can put the change, the suggestion given by the reviewer, and then you can give your recommendation also that how you have done the changes. Again, if you are not convinced with the reviewer comment, maybe it's you don't find that change required, still you can reject the reviewer comment by giving a proper justification for that. If you're not agree with any point, give that point and give your statement also that if you are not agree with that point, why it is not required and why it should not be done. So as I said, cover letter is something which plays very important role for you in terms of publication. Justify everything. So whatever the suggestion given by reviewers, try to address each and every one into your cover letters and do the changes, right? So when you have the cover letter or the changes into your manuscript ready, then you have to look into the publications ethics also. As I said, whatever the publication, whatever the journal that you are looking for, always obey the ethics of guideline for publication. Because there is the committee that is called as a COPE committee. They basically have certain criteria into publication so that everyone will follow the ethics rule. And one of the rule is the plagiarism. So don't include the data fabrication or falsification. It's very important. There should not be any plagiarism into the work that you're doing, because there are so many softwares that every editor is having. And nowadays, universities and colleges are also getting access to that, normally used to check the plagiarism into your work. By any chance, if you submitted your paper into 2 journals, or if any kind of a plagiarism or any kind of a fabrication found out, this is how your paper will look like. If you have acceptance also, still your paper into the databases will come as retracted. So don't get into that practice. Don't use any kind of a false way of getting publication for your paper, because that will give you the publication, but you will not get the due credit of your publication. So don't get into that practice. And then it comes to the promoting your paper. That is again very important, which we have seen in the beginning as well, that visibility plays very important role for the paper, because that basically help you to get a good citation as well. And the best part is we are into the social media time where everything spreads like anything. So you can also communicate your paper. You can also spread your paper into your social community, into your scientific community by using multiple solutions like Twitter, Facebook, Google Scholar, Mendeley, LinkedIn. So people do circulate. Scopus is also one of the, if you have an access, the paper got promoted. So there are multiple ways that you need to increase the visibility of your paper. Now let me come to the conclusion of the publication, because as I said, if you ask me the question how you can get a quality publication, so there is no one word answer for that. You have to connect multiple dots all together to get a good quality publication. Everyone plays important role. Journals also have their important role. The publisher also plays important role. Your drafting plays important role. Your selection plays very important role, so that you will not fall into the trap of clone journals or fake journals or predatory journals. And everything in development of manuscript plays important role. Within development, you have different sections plays important role. So everything together will give you the quality publication. So the conclusion is, I just wanted to conclude this slide by 11 points. The first is think before writing. Select the right journal and a right article type. Use the right process of writing the paper. Language. Ensure that paper is up to date with the right content in place. Use the correct article structure. Be prepared for the common questions from reviewer. Write a good cover letter. Revision. Address all the comment from the reviewers. If you don't agree with that, still give a supplement or still give a proper justification that why you are not okay with the point that the reviewer wants you to change. Obey the publication ethics. Don't fall prey to predatory journals and promote your paper. It's very important to increase the visibility of your paper. Now, what leads to an acceptance? Again, I wanted to emphasize on this, which is shared by Dr. Cook. A is attention to the details. Check and double check your work. Consider the reviewer's comment. Sometimes it happens we oversight the reviewer comment. Try to include that or factor into your final submission. English must be sound and should be easily to understand. Presentation. Take your time with revision. Acknowledge those who have contributed into your work. New, original, and previously unpublished. C is for critical. Evaluate your own manuscript, and ethical rule must be obeyed. So if you have all these points in one place, that will help you to get acceptance into the quality publication. So this is all about theoretical understanding. So we have 10 more minutes, which is there for question and answers. So if you have any question, you can write into chat or you can write into Q&A also. I'll take it from both Q&A as well as chat. So if you have any question regarding the topic that we have covered, I'll be happy to answer. Because as I said, there is no one word answer for quality publication. There are multiple contributors towards quality publication, and we need to obey. We need to look into each and every section in details. Drafting is important, so as selecting the journal is also important for getting the quality publication, depending on different metrics. Anyone wants to ask anything? So there is a question from Sir. How do you know the ranking of journals? So there are UGC care list are there. So depending on which subject area that you want to look in, sir, for the journal ranking. On when we talk about JCR report is there, the UGC care list is there. I think they give a ranking because we don't have as such the ranking of journals. For Scopus, we do have, but that is again, it's a subscription one that you need to include. Because that basically gives you the journal ranking in terms of the specific subject areas. So here you will not find the ranking on these solutions, sir. I hope I answer your question, sir. So there's a question regarding Academy. I think it's Researcher Academy. So yes, so Researcher Academy is basically the e-learning module that we have started. And we have started during COVID time. And the best part is there are multiple courses available, like how to find the right journal, how to write a correct manuscript, the skill that you required in review writing, the skills that you required for book writing, how you can find the collaborator, how you can increase your visibility, how you can tap in the funding agencies. So there are multiple courses are available. And the best part is all these courses are free and certified. So once you do the course that you want to opt for, you will get the certification at the end. So for that, you just need to go to www.researcheracademy.com, and there you can take all these modules. I hope I answered your question. There is a question, can a rejected paper can be again sent with a modification? Now, there is two things. If you want to, you get a rejection from any particular journal, and again, you are sending the paper to the same journal, that is not advisable, because it's always good to have, whenever you select any journal, always have bunch of journals into your hand. Don't depend on only one journal. Once you get one journal, it's always advisable to do the changes and then submit the same manuscript into other set of journals, because that will shorten your time. And again, that also depends on factor in everything: acceptance rate, rejection rate, publication time, review time. Everything need to be factored in before selecting the second set of journal that you want to publish. I hope I answered your question, ma'am. So there is a question, status with an editor more than a month. What's the reason? As I said, editors are preoccupied people. Sometimes it happens that the journal selection that you have done is taking that much of time. So we have to do the analysis that how much time normally an editor takes for a particular journal. So sometimes it happens editor is too much occupied into manuscript. They are not putting that much of, the paper normally takes that much of time to give you or come back to you with the comments. So selecting the journal is very important here, because editor normally takes a time. But if you find the set of journal where editors are taking lesser time, if you are in hurry of publication, it is always that particular journal by doing the check of time in terms of publication as well as accepting. I hope I answered your question. Now, there is a question regarding the Q1, Q2 journals and from where we can get this data. That's a very good question. The Q1, Q2. So let me first give a little background of Q1 and Q2 for everyone. So basically on Scopus, you have different quartiles. Quartiles are basically caters the set of journals. So let's say if you have one subject area, let's say, for example, if you have a chemical engineering, for an example, so you'll have, and let's say approximately 1,000 journals comes into this particular subject area, right? So maybe the 150 journals comes into Q1, and these are the topmost journal into your subject area, followed by rest other into Q2 and Q3 and Q4. And that is how this quartile normally works. Now, let's coming back to the same question, that where you will find it. You will find this information on Scopus. And the best part is to look into the journal into Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. You don't need to have subscription also. You can directly go to the sources tab, which is mentioned on the top of the Scopus. Just click on that, the page will open up. There you have subject domains and subdomains. Select your subject area and subdomains, and then you get a list of journals comes into Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So I hope I answered your question. So again, there is the same question. After reviewing submission paper status in editor for a longer day, as I said, it depends on journal to journal. So there is no set trend that editor normally reply in this much of time or they take that much of time. It completely depending on which subject area you are in, which journal that you have selected, whether it is aligned with the aim and scope of the journal or not. Sometimes it happens your paper is they find it very interesting, which is not aligned to the set of the author guideline that they have given. That time, that could be one of the reason for the longer waiting time. So there is no one word answer for that. It depends on multiple factors, that why the time is too longer when we talk about communication from editor desk. So now then there's a question around introduction. I think I'll share the slides with you. You can easily go through it, that how you can draft your introduction so that you will address regarding why have you selected this problem, what are the things that you included into that. So that comes into the introduction section. So I'll share the slide. You can go through the introduction part as well. So there is a question regarding matrix, that where you will find it. So there is no one site where you will find these matrix. You will find these matrix into Scopus also. You will find these matrix into Elsevier Journal Finder also. So both ways you can look into the matrix. So how many paper it should be there in a research paper? How many papers? I think maybe they are asking regarding the references, how many papers it should be there in a research paper. So there is no fixed thing in terms of references. If you're asking regarding that, because it's difficult for me to understand with the question that how many papers it should be into the research paper. So if you're asking about citation and references, so there is no requirement as such, it depending on which subject area that you want to publish. Now there is a question regarding fake journals. So as I said, so many journals every year, I would say every month journals are coming up, and it's very difficult for any publisher to maintain or to identify the clone or the fake journals. So the reader, or I would say the writer, need to be very smart enough to find out the clone journals, because there is no one word answer. So you have to look into the journal homepage, find out the editorial board, find out how many editors are there, look into the databases like Scopus. If you have a journal in hand, come back to sources tab, put the name there and find out whether the journal is indexed into Scopus or not. If it is not indexed, you have to again go back and find out which databases this particular journal indexed to, because before selecting the journal, it's very important that the journal should be indexed into any databases. Not only this along with currently it should index. Sometimes it happens the journal is saying the journal is Scopus indexed, but come back to Scopus sources tab, find out it is currently indexed or not, because Scopus every day updated. If the journal is not indexed into Scopus and just going by the website homepage that it is Scopus indexed, your paper will not remain Scopus indexed because it is not indexed into Scopus, the journal. So I would say there is no one word answer to identify the clone journal or the fake journal. You have to have multiple things altogether for that. I think I've covered almost all questions. There's a question regarding hardware result mandatory, or so again, it's completely depending on which journal that you're selecting, which all information required, scope, guide, and find out the author guide. There you will get this answer that what all data that need to be supplemented along with your paper. So I think I've covered or I've taken all the questions. If there is anything else that you want to ask, you can put up, and then if there is no more question, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for having us here. It's our pleasure to be here with the young group of researchers. So regarding the recording, so tomorrow you'll be getting a link from Zoom side, which basically which is having the Zoom link recording also for today's session. Along with that, you'll also get a link for certificate. So you can claim your certificate, you can download your certificate. If you made any mistake, so we will be giving the guideline also that how you can again claim your certificate. We'll also share the feedback link. So I request everyone, please fill the feedback link, because that is very important for us to understand your expectations. So fill the feedback link, take your certificate, and use the recording as well. So with this note, thank you everyone and have a great day ahead. Thanks. Have a nice weekend. Thank you.